It's the first episode of our Metro podcast, and this, we changed the time to a little bit later in the afternoon after everyone's awake. Coach, I'm gonna move this back a little bit so we can get both of us in there. Move my boomstick out the way.
Okay.
And cool. All right, so you just got back from Vegas, right?
Yes, sir.
You visited the Grand Canyon.
No, but it's definitely a seven wonder of the world. I love the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I heard it's chilly. My sister went there. They said it was chilly when they went.
Oh, you can go there in the summertime and get down in the Grand Canyon. You need a jacket.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it looks hot. If you just see pictures, it looks like it'd be like in the desert.
Oh, Vegas is smoking.
Then Vegas. Oh yeah. The city. Well, is it? It's cooler by the Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah, it definitely is.
How far outside of the Strip is Grand Canyon?
It's not. I don't. Maybe. The Grand Canyon stretches from the Colorado Rockies all the way down through multiple states. So it's. I don't. Maybe an hour.
Okay. That's not far out.
Yeah.
What was the competition like?
Oh, it was amazing.
So you had for those who don't know, you had in what order? Jiu-Jitsu Con first, Masters World second, or vice versa?
Masters and then Jiu-Jitsu Con, and then there was a Leandro Lowe Invitational, or they did a
in Vegas.
Yeah.
What was how many competitors did that one have?
I wasn't there. I actually flew out that morning. So a couple of our competitors flew in or stayed an extra day and competed there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it was.
Did the proceeds go somewhere?
They all went to pay for his funeral or funeral expenses or, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's worth like a few million, right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think somebody put it on to raise family, maybe for the family.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, maybe if he's got family in like Brazil still. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. It's not a rich, wealthy country.
Yeah,
or at least parts of it are pretty.
Not by any definition. Okay. What was the? So what did you see? What was the? Let's start with the juicy stuff. What was the craziest submission you saw at Masters Worlds? So it's Masters. For those who don't know, it means you're over 30. And so it's the old guys doing jiu-jitsu now. So,
yeah. At Masters, if you hang around the mat long enough, or at any at Masters or Worlds, you're gonna see some crazy stuff. Typically, you'll get the highlights on like Instagram where somebody catches them, but that's the biggest tournament of the year, and a lot of people they prepare for that tournament like all year round.
Sure.
Like every tournament that they do is to prep them and find any holes in their jiu-jitsu and making sure that, what they're doing is working, what they want to execute is working. So everything is a tune-up to one big tournament. So, like you name it, like there's flying arm bars, flying triangles.
At Masters?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's like like
smaller guys, right? Probably smaller.
Well, it depends what you consider small.
Under 150?
No, you get some like middleweights, popping those. But like Eminem says, you got one shot, one opportunity. So
yeah, holy cow! I'm not gonna flying armbar somebody. If you botch that, like it's done.
Yeah.
Forget the fact that you're gonna lose the match. Like, have you seen just Google flying armbars gone wrong? Flying, mainly flying triangles.
Yeah, there are definitely some highlight reels of that. If you botch that, then you're gonna look silly.
Okay. So how did our team do? Like we had a couple of masters go out, and then we had the kids do the invitational. How did our team do? Obviously, you were coaching. I know it was a long trip for you.
Yeah.
What was tell us about that?
So first of all, like since COVID, this is probably the biggest jiu-jitsu tournament overall. I haven't been to Brazil or took any of our athletes to Brazil and see how big they are, or like to Europe, and I know they have them in Asia, but this is the biggest jiu-jitsu tournament that I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this tournament was so big. They essentially had 30 mats. Yeah, so
the average jiu-jitsu tournament, federation tournament, has 10 or maybe 12. on average.
Yeah,
so now
12 is on a higher end.
Yeah, now they got 30.
Yeah, so they essentially had 3 different tournaments running in one, and I'm going to guess there's probably like 3,000 competitors at this tournament.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so there was it was cool because if you think of the World Jiu-Jitsu tournament, then this is it. Like there was vendors everywhere. Yeah, there was at least a football field full of vendors.
Did you see a vendor that was like, "Are you sure you want to exhibit at this? Did you see a vendor that just seemed out of place?
No,
I'm just thinking of like a tennis shoe company or something. Like they that might be out of place, or like a, I don't know, like a firearm company.
No, they're all pretty relative. They're all
Okay.
pretty relative, and the good thing is everybody was busy.
Okay.
There's so many freaking people there. Everybody was busy. People walking around, checking them out, and like the vendors and the brands that we all know in the jiu-jitsu and grappling industry. For the most part, a lot of them were there.
Right on.
So it was.
And Professor's Choice had a booth too, right?
We didn't have a booth, but we were inside a couple other booths.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So like that's a big name, and just in regards to the hygiene of that is really underrated. Like, because like not only now listen, we do our best to keep the mats clean, but sometimes you can't get every spot right. Yeah. So like that. Like being able to kind of take Professor's Choice, like soaps, or I prefer the wipes. I'm not a bar soap guy. It's just like I drop it and stuff. So, but the wipes themselves, like you just clean off, and then they it's I still shower. Don't get me wrong, I still shower, but like I know that like I don't have to worry about ringworm or staph or any other skin infections. So
yeah,
that's good exposure.
One of the vendors told me, he's like, man. Like people were coming up to buy shirts just so they could change their clothes after they competed. So,
right.
Yeah. So the wipes definitely helped a lot of people, and it was good to get them out there. We gave out samples and stuff like that. So yeah, check us out at professorschoice.com, right, Facebook, Instagram, or our website.
So then we are now. Do they host that? Is that the same time every year? Like Masters is going to be.
Yeah.
Curiously, why do you think they don't do all of them all at once, like adults and kids and masters? Like just have 2 weeks of competition. Because they have like mass adult worlds wasn't at the same time, so all the 20-year-olds they weren't competing. This is just people over 30 competing at this.
That's a good question. I mean, it would definitely be a bigger event, but. There are a lot of adults, or there are a lot of masters that compete adults, and they compete masters also. So there's a lot of people over 30.
Oh, because you can go down.
Yes, you can go down, but you can't go up.
Right. So adults can't compete at masters, but masters can choose to challenge themselves and go compete with the younger guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So, but 30 men. Like it was like, you ever been to Arnold's?
Long time ago.
Yeah, so Arnold.
Yeah. Oh, you're just saying that amount of people.
Yeah, it was like standing room only, man. It was like it was totally loaded, but it's so cool to see grappling and jiu-jitsu grow at that much. Yeah, and it was a real reflection of like, wow, how many people train? How many people are into the sport, and and what else is cool at the big tournaments. Is you see people that we look up to as grapplers on the internet, and some like major players in the jiu-jitsu, like a lot of multiple time world champions. When we see them, they're like celebrity on TV. You know what I mean? They're celebrity on the internet and on TV. And I know they don't walk out on the street and they don't get the recognition that they deserve, because at these tournaments, it's like everyone's asking.
No one knows who they are.
No, they're nobody. Yeah. So, so it's cool to see people like asking them to take their picture and stuff like that, so they get, recognized for their contribution to jiu-jitsu and grappling. Cool. Yeah, it's nice to see that, because they're, it brings more recognition and awareness, and of course, gives validity what they've done in this sport.
Sure. So they are kind of piggyback, I guess, just kind of springboarding off of that. this week we're talking about what are the characteristics of a good grappler.
Yeah.
And thinking about this question, we need to first kind of define what a good grappler is. So there's a technical grappler. There's like elite sort of top tier professional grapplers. But generally, so like I don't really think that's what we're referring to. So this question is more generated like I want to be good at jiu-jitsu. Like that to someone who asks themselves that I want to be good at jiu-jitsu. What are some characteristics that make up that person?
Well, if you watch any documentaries on like Michael Jordan, so LeBron James, I don't think doesn't have the right to do this like Michael Jordan does, but not many people around him liked him.
Michael Jordan?
Yes. Michael, not many people around him and as far as his teammates really liked him. I know they respected him, but as a team player, and that's a team sport, he got wins for the team. Like he won, and he was somebody that pushed his teammates, and he put like winning and competing against, everything else. That's what he was married to. So I think one of the, not in this specific order, one of mine would be you have to be selfish to be a good grappler.
To be a good grappler?
Yes.
So how can you elaborate on that? Because that goes like one of our core values is community, right? Yeah. So which is the team.
Yeah.
So how does that, like, if you want to be a good grappler?
Yeah.
Like I'm a black belt. I'd like to think I'm a decent grappler. At least, Coach Danny thinks I'm a decent grappler to award me a black belt. I wouldn't consider myself selfish though. So other people might. But I wouldn't consider myself selfish. So for those who they're listening, what does that mean?
So to be a good grappler, and we're talking about grappling, you have to prioritize what you do for your fitness, your exercise. Your job comes in the way, your family comes in the way. Everything on that list has to have a number in the queue of what you're going to do next. And to be a good grappler, you have to be selfish. You have to give priority to exercising. So we're going to call grappling exercising. You have to give priority to getting to the gym. And sometimes you have to be selfish, and you might have to put that in front of some other things that you might need to do. So being selfish as a grappler is making it a high priority to make sure that you train, your mind and your body.
Okay. So just you're organized. You're diligent.
I call it selfish, but
you're
organized.
You're diligent, right? So you have to, because you have to, when you prioritize something, and there's a level of like self priority with that, because when you prioritize something, that means like this has to get done.
Right.
This has to get done. Like, I'm sorry, I can't go.
Right.
I've made this priority. I've made this prior commitment. Like I told myself I would go to class 3 days a week. So right. Like if you don't prioritize that though, if you don't prioritize that, then something will always come up. The kids will always have an event. They will always want to spend time with dad. Your wife is always going to want you to stay home. I'm using always a lot, but like certainly more often than not.
Yeah,
there's going to be something that's going to want to come up frequently.
Yeah, with your family, your personal, and even your career. And you know what? Family and career should always come above everything. Your family and your job should always come above everything. But as long as you know that, there are some times when you do have to reshift and put your training ahead of your family or training ahead of your career. Because in the big picture, those are going to trump everything. Mm-hmm. But on a smaller scale, there are times when, you might need to leave earlier. You might need to not pick up the extra overtime. Sure. We were talking to some guy at the Wyandotte Street Fair, and he said he doesn't have time to train because he works like 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. He works 5 days a week. Yeah. That's not healthy. Yeah. That's not a life. By the time you do get home, I don't care how young you are, you got no juice to do anything. Mm-hmm. So there's no way in the world you're going to go to the gym after 5 12-hour days.
Yeah.
So getting that extra money becomes more important than your health. So, in my opinion, you got to be selfish at times and put your body before your health before.
And you can, because I mean, like when I train, I feel better though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and when I feel better, like I'm less on edge.
Yeah.
And when I'm less on edge, then I'm more tolerant and patient with my kids.
Yeah.
And my 2-year-old when he screams for, or 3-year-old when he screams for no apparent reason, or you know, fill in the blank. So like that, it does. See, I mean, like prioritizing it, because when you say it's selfish, people think when you hear selfish, you're like, I only care about me. I don't care about you. That's not the case. Like, I know, like, I want to train, and when you take care of yourself, there's self-care and there's selfish. No, I think it's important to make that distinction, because you can take care of yourself with your diet, with your exercise, with training, with hobbies, and then that's going to bring balance to say, okay, now I can put in my business and, you know, like as with date night or the kids or work or career or whatever. I also believe if someone is, you know, if they really, really want to train and their work won't allow them, if they can't carve out 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week, you need to, especially in this market, find a different gig. Find a different gig. If you're not valuable enough to find a different gig, become valuable and then find a different gig. Like that's like to say, like, because if someone's going to say, no, you can't go train jiu-jitsu, even if you make up the hours, I would call that, especially in this market, that's a little unreasonable of an ask, especially with how many classes you have to offer. So what would you say to someone who's like, hey, I want to get good at, I like all these benefits I'm hearing, I just can't carve out the time. Like, how would you have that conversation with your boss?
Well, so we're downriver Michigan, okay, and we are a jiu-jitsu community. You have Ford Motor Company, you have Chrysler, you have GM, you have the Wyandotte Hospital, you have Oakwood Hospital. So there's a lot of professionals around here, and a lot of them work because they're, you know, a lot of them are their sole providers, and some of them are joint families that both work. And you know, you go to work because you want to support your family, you know, and a relative of mine told me a story about his uncle, who actually was extremely wealthy, and he couldn't get married, or he couldn't have kids, and for many years ended up marrying a younger girl when he was like 70, and she was like,
how old was she?
She was like 30 years his senior.
Wow.
Yeah, she was in her 30s. So make a long story short, he married her, and he had like 4 or 5 kids with her. And
that's 70?
Yep. Yeah. And he was extremely wealthy. He was worth millions. So he was.
Is this Anna Nicole Smith or no?
No.
Okay, all right. Just
he was worth millions.
That's what it sounds like.
So to make a long story short, she when he died, she ended up taking all his money. She married a younger guy, and she blew all his money. The guy she married stole some of her money. So the point with the story, when he told me the story, I'm like, whoa, that sucks. That's horrible. Yeah, exactly. He said, but the one thing that he did leave his children, he thought it was all about leaving them money. He taught all of them how to be successful.
Sure.
And he thought it was money that they needed when he was alive. But now looking back and seeing the legacy that he left, they all grew up to become very prominent members of the community, very successful professionals in their fields. And kids don't need money. You know what I mean? It's the iPad is not doing anything for them. The iPhone is not doing anything for them. It's the lessons and the time that you spend with them that has the real value for their kids. So I guess to answer your question is like, what do you have to say to them? The kids don't need money. And I got to remind myself, you know, this at the same time. Kids and people that we're working for, whether it be our spouse or our children, they need tools to survive in this world. And that's not something that money can buy.
Yeah.
No course is going to teach you.
Valid.
No course is going to teach you how to fail and get back up and try again. And no course is going to teach you how to like let you know that, hey, I still love you. I got love for you. I'm still going to be here for you, even though you didn't succeed this time.
Yeah. Sometimes
How about you?
Yeah, something we say a lot is like that which costs you nothing is worth nothing. So cost you nothing, it's worth nothing, and that goes into being you have to be diligent and organized to be a good grappler because it takes time on the mat, but it also has to be it takes hard work. It takes hard work, and I don't believe I'm just pulling from personal experience here as well as personal experience with myself and just seeing at this point now probably thousands of people come and go into jiu-jitsu. I don't believe you have to be mentally tough. You don't have to be mentally tough to stay and train jiu-jitsu. I believe you are made tough in the process. I believe you, because I wouldn't call myself mental. I wasn't extremely mentally tough. I might have been borderline brain damaged maybe, and that's why I just stuck around. But like that, like if you just make a commitment right now and think to yourself, because the big thing for me is honesty. Like if nothing else, like I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. And so if I tell myself I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to do this, and I want to chase this, and this is what I want to do, and then I write it down. I've now made this promise with myself. And so like just now, if that changes and the shit gets difficult, that wasn't in the contract that I made with myself. I said, I'm going to do this. I want to earn a black belt. Okay. And when whatever else comes, and if it takes me, I didn't say I'll earn a black belt by a certain time. I didn't put a deadline to it. I said, I want to earn a black belt. And that will come with that, what that may. So now, little did I know the mental strength that came into it. I've been like, Amanda and I had a hell of a day yesterday. Like probably one of the most mentally draining days, and I'll spare you the details. And at the end, Amanda was just sitting with me, and I was just thinking, like I was just sitting back, dwelling on it. And I was so angry and frustrated, and I had to pull and I had to pull from my experience in jiu-jitsu and say I've been way more frustrated than this before. Like I've been way more frustrated when I lost a tournament that I worked hard for, I had to cut 10 pounds for, 15 pounds for. Like I've been way more frustrated with that. And so when you teach yourself or your kids that can't, adults don't know what that feels like. Adults don't know what that feels like to work that hard. So like you have to be a hard worker, and that's why I say hard worker. Like it will make you mentally tough if you just stick around. You say I'm just going to do what's required of me, what's expected of me, what's asked of me. I'm going to do what's asked of me. Show up, do matches, do your best. That's all we care about. Like that's all I care about. Well, this guy beat me. I don't care. Like you're on the mat. You're doing way better than someone just watching. Like so many times it happens for a long time. So as a hard worker, what are you? I'd be curious to hear your beliefs on that. Like, what are your opinion on? Do you have to be mentally tough? Like, only mentally tough people stay in jiu-jitsu, or are you forged through jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I would agree with that because I definitely agree that jiu-jitsu makes you mentally tough. I think everybody is predisposed. There's a predisposed.
They're predisposed.
They're predisposed to being mentally tough. I believe all of us are because we're put on this earth to survive.
Yeah.
We're trained to survive, not to thrive. And the people who thrive are the people who learn to be mentally tough.
Sure.
And so I think that jiu-jitsu definitely brings that out in you.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people that are attracted to jiu-jitsu and actually stick with it, I mean, you and I have seen it. If you put them in a lineup, they might not look athletic. If you put them in a lineup, they might look smaller. If you put them in a lineup, they might look older. If you dig a little bit deeper, you'll see, whoa, this guy's not supposed to be here. He's had too many life challenges. He or she's not supposed to be here. So the mental toughness is made. And honestly, anybody will tell you it's not about being physically tough. It's about being mentally tough to continuously try to solve problems.
Yeah.
That's really what a lot of what it boils down to.
If you even a moderate, like 2 hours, of study of world history. When you look at what people had to do just to live, that like you say, wow, I don't know how they did it. Shit was real simple. They had no other option.
No other option.
There's no other option. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they did it. You do it. You do it or you die. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you learn how to survive in a new world that you took ships to.
Yeah.
You learn how to survive there. You make friends with people there. Like, I'm not getting into the politics of it, but you learn to do so. Like, that's it. Or you die, and people did die. You know. So, but like with jiu-jitsu, the options to quit are there. Like that's the difficult part. Yeah. I was watching that show, that huge kick on that show alone. Like, I'm surprised. No one has told me about this before. They said, like, and these are survival experts.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
They teach people how to survive in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them tapped out for, different reasons. And they're like, it's so different when you have an option to tap out. He's like, that's way more tempting. He's like, at any point in time, it's in my control. So it's not, I mean, they're in like grizzly country. It's cold and there's grizzly bears. And like, there's external challenges. He's like, the main thing is I can choose to tap out whenever I want. And telling myself, like fighting the inner mental battle of saying, no, I'm not going to quit. That's where it's at. Right. And it's not unlike jiu-jitsu. Like it's respectable. I've got a wife. I've got kids. I've got, like time with that. No one, anyone who's watched any of our podcasts or anything that we do, like we obviously stand for those things. But it's not either or. It's not jiu-jitsu or your wife. It's not jiu-jitsu or your kids. It's not jiu-jitsu or your job. It's both. Like Coach Jimmy Sawala, our wrestling coach, he went to Masters Worlds. Homeboy takes a picture of his watch every morning at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. You want to know why? Because I'm pretty sure he starts at like 7, and he likes to work out before work. That's great. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I also go to bed quite a bit later than him. But he's finding time, and he's organizing his schedule to align with his priorities. I would venture to say most people don't know what their priorities are and haven't begun to build their calendar around it. They're just shoved into like something like, I have to do this. Okay. Your job's important. Cool. What else are your priorities? Well, that's it. Just my job. There's no balance there. There's no balance there. Another aspect of a good grappler is humility.
What's your definition on that as a grappler?
Humility means you don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to, and you're willing to learn from anybody. You're willing to learn from anybody, and you don't take it like you don't like. Because I look at the opposite. The opposite is ego, and people say we have no egos here, even though when there are still egos in the gym, right? So ego means I value myself so highly that if you offend me or upset me or do anything against me, that is such a great offense because don't you know who I am type thing. And so like the huge amounts of ego. Humility is whatever. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I got submitted by a lower belt. It's not a big deal. I'm 250 pounds and I can bench at 300 pounds. And I got submitted by a 15-year-old. I'll try again. I'll learn again. It's problem solving, like you said. So like you don't weigh that up. You don't weigh that too much into who you are.
Right.
Because you're going to lose. Every single human being who starts jiu-jitsu will lose.
It's so true. And you train at your job at jiu-jitsu, so if it counted, you don't lose.
Yeah.
So sure. If it counted in a real life situation, something's going down, you know how to defend yourself and you're not going to lose that battle. So when you're at the gym, there's different words to describe it, but if you're never getting tapped out in the gym, it doesn't matter how big, strong, or technical you are, you're not trying enough. Mm-hmm. You're not exposing holes enough in your game or finding out where you need to improve to go work on that in the gym. Yeah. If you only bring your A game into the gym and you're never getting tapped and you feel like, well, I'm better than everybody, that means you're bringing your best to all of your teammates. So So yeah, you definitely have to see where the improvements you need to make are. And if you're getting tapped inside the gym, like many times, yeah, you're gonna get like a lower rank. Say, I can't believe I thought that guy that higher rank was better. I just tapped him. But the truth is like if that higher rank wanted to go one match with you, you probably not only wouldn't tap him, not only wouldn't score a point or get an advantage, you probably get massacred.
Yeah.
So you got to go to the gym to really work on yourself and your craft. And if you do it correctly, then you definitely should be getting into some bad situations.
Sure, absolutely. Another aspect we have is coachable. Someone who's coachable. What does that person look like?
I think this is probably one of the biggest reasons why people stop in jiu-jitsu. From seeing, the hundreds or maybe thousands of people that have gone through here, I think not being coachable is probably one of the biggest reasons why they ultimately stop.
Yeah.
They don't get what they want. Someone who's not coachable is always trying to explain something to the coach. Someone who's not coachable, what about this and what about that? They're always having those type of conversations. Someone who's not coachable, someone who is coachable, in the relationship with the coach/student, they should be spending the vast majority of the time listening and not talking. A question or feedback on what's going on is one thing, but the coach should be directing you because the coach should have, 5, 10, or 20 years more of experience in that specific field than you do. So I think for me, from what I've seen, and as I see like some white belts and some blue belts, they get some confidence and they get going and their attitude changes and they stop coming. They're so hungry to learn in their first 6 months of training. Like they're like obsessed with learning. And then it changes going from obsessed to learning to obsessed with like tapping this guy out or winning. And then it changes your jiu-jitsu at that point because you're not able to learn anymore because you kind of close the door thinking, I already know enough. Now I need to like do my thing, And the best grapplers in the world in any gym will tell you, like if anybody studies them at home, they actually get caught. The guys who don't lose in tournaments usually get caught in their own gym. Not because they have a room full of better guys, just because the guys who are really good are making sure that their weaknesses are constantly exploited so they could build off those and turn those into strength.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that goes hand in hand with being humble. Typically someone isn't, they're not coachable because they've got an ego. They're arrogant. And you can have like, you don't have to be a narcissist to be arrogant. Like you don't have to be like aggressively prideful to be arrogant. There are people who are silently egotistical. Like it doesn't have to be so loud and in your face. Like they just like care a whole lot about themselves and so like that's refusing to be coachable. Another one, and what do we got? Another one we have is respectful. So respectful to, and this is where, so jiu-jitsu in itself, I would say, is I'd probably say less formal of a martial art than some of the rest, right? So like, there's, and certainly Metro, like at Metro, we're less formal than I'm thinking of like a traditional Kung Fu or karate studio or academy, like that, where it's just very formal and like they, some of them even have like a speech that they say before the class, and then that's super formal. But something I hear a lot, especially on like BJJ groups, is when they're removing the very premise that martial arts was founded on, and that is like the coach-student relationship, and they turn it into a corporate customer relationship, which it's valuable. It's like, I mean, like we get that. I understand that. But they say, I'm not gonna, you can't tell me what to wear. Like I'm paying you here for my service. Like I'm paying you for a service. You can't tell me what to wear. It's like, actually, I can tell you exactly what to wear. Like I can tell, and you don't have to train here if you don't wear that uniform. Like if you want to go somewhere where they wear swastikas on their gis, go train there. It's not going to be a Metro though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so, like there, and that goes back to being respectful, right? So like there's any organization you're going to be involved with, whether it's a jiu-jitsu academy, whether it's your place of worship or your place of work, you will never agree with 100% of what the leadership does ever.
True.
Ever. So there has to come a line of which, like, if you trust them to take you where you want to go, need to go, then respect their policies and their method of doing it. And maybe once you get close enough to them or comfortable enough to them, you can talk to them about, if you think you have a better idea, present it to them, right? But like a lot of people, they're just, again, they don't like the way one thing goes on, right? Mm-hmm. We got like a negative review about something we said on a podcast or on social, and they jet. Because you're against one thing. This is the age of where your ego is hurt. You don't like that because it's so inflamed. And so now I'm going to leave. When like even you and I, partners and black belt coaches here at Metro, we disagree on topics. And I respect you enough to say, well, all right, and here's my opinion on it. And you have your opinion. And you do, like, even take it down to the curriculum. Like you do moves that I would never, I venture to say, I don't know if I could physically do them, right? Like a De La Hiva, I just can't do it. But like, I respect that you teach it that way. And I respect that. And I'm not going to treat you differently as a result. That's a part of being a good grappler. And so when you respect people and your teammates and your coaches and your leadership and like everything that way, like that's part of being a good shit. That's part of being a good human being, I think, in general, but especially a good grappler as well. What are your thoughts on respect in jiu-jitsu academies?
Yeah, there are a lot of different definitions of how like respect is portrayed in martial arts, and like I always say, jiu-jitsu is like cheeseburgers. Every school has a flavor.
They're all garbage. Oh, sorry.
Cheeseburgers. We already talked about this. Cheeseburger is like one of the greatest inventions in the 20th century. But no, like everybody has their own flavor, and you just kind of have to find what it works. And I think I like to think everybody's intention is respect at the forefront of martial arts. And if it isn't, they're probably not going to be around a little bit. But respect in martial arts, like one thing that we preach in the classes that I teach and at Metro is, if somebody has if there's two purple belts and one of them happens to be older, as a respect, let the older guy, go in front of you. If you see an older person on the mat or an older teammate, they put their time on this earth. You got to respect them because you're younger, faster, you're in your prime or whatever. It doesn't mean that you are better than them. So like, personally, I'm big on recognizing people for the contribution, and age is a big thing. Just like rank is a big thing. It doesn't matter what age you are. You do stand in line according to rank, but I think you have to respect your elders. And for me, as a martial artist, that says a lot about you. Respecting your elders on the mat and off the mat, that says a lot. That says a lot. So
yeah, I get down to that. I'm just thinking of generally speaking. Yes, generally speaking. I'm just thinking of older leaders who I disagree with. You still respect that. You respect them, right? Yeah. You just disagree. You disagree with their actions. I get down to that. I get down to that.
So we have, so there are different teams in jiu-jitsu. So many different teams. So we're part of a top 10 team in the entire world. Only team downriver. Only team. There's two of us in Michigan that are affiliated with the top 10 team in the world. So, what's your definition of being team orientated as a student for the average person coming in, and why would that be attractive for somebody looking at jiu-jitsu when you're talking about team?
So team oriented is it's gonna not to sound. This is why I knew what you meant and why I should clarify what it meant to be selfish, because I would say it takes a level of selflessness. It takes a level of selflessness. Like when you come in, if you're just like, well, hey, I had a guy, this dude came in, I got on the phone with him, and he, like, I don't even know how he made it in the building, but it's for 1 p.m. and he's talking to Jabril, Coach Jabril. Jabril's what, 20 years old?
Yeah.
He's a grown ass man now. Jabril's 20 years old. He's a brown belt. He's coaching the heads class, and Jabril's like trying to like, okay, so you're doing a trial class? He's like, no, I'm here to, like, just had such an ego, and he's like, well, I'm trying to develop relationships. I want to speak to the coach. I want to speak to the head coach, and he's like, I'm the head coach today, and he's like, well, I want to speak to the owner, and Jabril's like, they're not here. Like, it's 1 p.m. Like they'll be here in a couple hours, and the guy, like, it was like he had a laundry list of like, which, okay, fine, I get, like, you need to know what you're looking to get out of an academy. I get it, but that's all he was looking for. Like, that's all he was looking for. And so like what's something not to give too much away, but what we're going to put out in the next couple of months with our VTO and whatnot, like that. I'm very excited about that. That's something you and I can't do alone. Like, that's something that like, and so when people get on board with that, to kind of work together to help not only myself succeed, but also other people. Like, if I'm rolling with someone, like the nature of being a black belt in a school of largely white and blue belts is you're going to be doing a lot of matches with people that aren't as good as you, and and so there you have to help them. You can get frustrated and you can say, well, I'm not getting anything. I mean, like, I'm not getting anything out of this. I would have stayed training where I was if I just wanted like hard matches and feel like myself getting better. I would have stayed where I was. But now it's how much can you give back? And someone could say, I've only been training 6 months. Guess what? You know way more than the dude who just started their first day. And so what you do know for sure, teach that. If you do us all a favor, if you don't know, then don't teach that. Like, don't help that out, right? Like, or kind of answer things like that. I think team oriented, like, I hear community when I hear team oriented, which is one of the reasons that core values. Like, community is you're there for that, and you're there for if someone wants to talk. If you and Irish can talk and be like, man, that Jabril, he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. He's not that big. Well, if you really cared for the team, what would you do in that situation? What would you tell me if I'm like, I don't know about Jabril, he's kind of a jerk, dude. Like, I don't really like that guy.
Well, I have a rule when somebody, in that case, you always should, like, give voice for the person who's not there and stick up for the person.
Or go talk to him. Have you talked to him about it? No, I don't want to talk to him. Oh. Okay. He's never done anything. I've never encountered anything like that I've never encountered anything like that with me. If it bothers you that much, I would talk to him about it. If it doesn't bother you that much, then why are you telling me? Like, I got, it's not high school. I got more important things. So, like, I hear community, team oriented. That's what I hear. Team oriented is very much kind of cheering, and then cheering for other people's success is a big one too. Like, there are a lot of team leads, guys took masters, he got promoted, took gold at masters. I was happy for him. I was really happy because I know they work hard. They work hard. So even though I didn't compete, like, I still, I like to see them succeed. So that's how I view it. How about yourself?
When you you ever go to a event or a seminar and you're like, okay, let's see what this is about. Let's see what's going to happen here. Maybe it's a wedding a wedding seminar, training, or like, okay, let's see what's going to happen. It's like, holy shit, this is not what I signed up for. Like, oh my God, I did not know what it is. So It's funny because when you go into a jiu-jitsu academy and you go to the right place, like teaching you how to fight is the easiest part of what we could do.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing. People think, okay, I want to come in here for self-defense. Well, you know what? Self-defense is the easiest part about our job. But if you give somebody who's an absolute jerk a weapon, he's going to get himself in trouble and probably hurt somebody. And when you come into a jiu-jitsu academy, and what they do is you develop as a person. You want to talk about that martial arts mindset, the samurai and the true martial artist. It's, there's a reason why martial artists never get into fights. There's a reason why.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely.
Very rarely do they ever get into street fights.
Yeah.
So to be,
we all have bad knees. That's why.
So when you get into the team aspect of a sport, everybody's there. A good team should be there to support each other, and the foundation of how they support each other is really all about on the mats. Yeah. Your entire relationship with your team grows on the mat, and don't ever think for a second you can be part of a team if you don't sweat on the same mat. Yeah. Don't ever think for a second that you want to be. I want to hang out with you for Super Bowl, or I want to hang out with you like if you guys are going out, but I'm not going to put in the hard work and contribute to the team's
It's
growth.
kind of a Chicken Little sort of scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like who will bake the bread with me? Not I. Like, who's going to help me collect? Not I.
But I'll help you eat.
Who's going to help me eat that? Like, I'll help you. Which rapper was it? Like, where your ass was at in open mat, bro? Like, where were you?
Right.
So that's I think there's a level of that. Like, there's a level in that. That's a good, which is why I think it's so bizarre. And I'm gonna go off on a tangent because that ends our characteristics. I think it's so bizarre, people about sports teams. You're like, how we doing? Oh, we didn't do well. You weren't on the field? Like, who's we? Like, they don't even know your name. You were at B-Dubs watching the game. Like, who's we? We didn't do anything. They collected your money for the $70 jersey, and then they lost the game. That's what we did. So I think that's – I don't understand that. It's still like a camaraderie, but I feel like it's just a conversation piece. Almost like Stranger Things. Like, it's just something to talk about. You're really into it. Can you explain it? Like you're talking about
Stranger Things.
Sport. A sports.
10 minutes.
A sport. In the first episode.
Yeah, I told my kids, don't ask me to waste my life watching this episode.
Okay, so let's go to the football thing then. Like, you and another man are talking about a game that other people played. Like, you don't do that. I know you don't do this, but it's like the guys who are like, yeah, we didn't make it, or we needed better defense, or we needed better offense. Like, who is we? It's not we at all. Just because you're from the same city, help me understand it. Like what am I missing from that circle that I don't understand?
Explain that question.
Help me understand the mind of someone who's like watching, like they're football guys.
Oh, watching TV.
Yeah, they're watching. Okay. That's what I'm saying. They're watching TV, and they're like, after the game, whatever the Lions play, yeah, we needed better defense. Who's we? You were in your living room. They were at the field. You did nothing. Like, there is no we. It's them. They played the game. They were the man in the arena. You were eating the potato chips. Who is we? And they get so into it, feeling a part of the team, like that's their team, but it's not their team. Can you help me understand it?
I mean, for those of you who don't watch football, play football, that's a great analogy. Yeah, that's a great analogy. So that's kind of right. Like, you're not there with them, working with them. You're not there training with them. Yeah. I mean, that's how it is. Like, if you're not part of them unless you're playing with them, you're working with them, you're practicing with them. So, that just goes to my point on being team oriented. If you're part of the team, you have to work with the team. If you're part of the team, you have to sweat with the team. If you're part of the team, I need to look over at some point and see my teammate is freaking exhausted because he worked, he was up late, he came straight from work, or like, you need to see that amongst your team. No team member is always there fresh and well rested and ready to go. Everybody comes in with their own luggage, and a good team, getting, in my opinion, just I think goes to your point, is saying if you're part of the team, you have to be part of the team. There's no I'm coming back, or I'm off the team for a little bit, I'm on the team for a little bit. It doesn't work that way. You're either in or you're out. There's no in between.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, John, Coach John. I mean, you're not wrong. Just hearing it. Yeah, I mean, hearing it. Huh.
Do we have any comments there, guys? Let us know if you guys have any comments.
The Grubkin, someone on YouTube says, "Oh, then I'm pretty humble then." Taka Brian Perez, I think he just had a kid. Happy kid, Mr. I think it's his son. Hope your son's doing well, Brian. I mean, it might be his daughter, but Brian was one of my first introductions to downriver wrestlers. Like he's one of our first
Brian
members.
Perez?
Brian Perez, yeah. And down here he's Taco Perez apparently, but we started doing matches, and I feel like I got double legged or tossed, and that's when it was like our first month of being open, and I was like,
see how far
I was like, man, I need to learn to wrestle. Like that's what I need to do there.
What's up, Chad?
That's Chad Huber.
Yeah.
Is that Chad Huber?
Yeah. Talk about Team Chad. You need to get your ass back in the gym.
He was here at 1 p.m. Friday.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got you. I got you, Chad. Don't worry, I got you. Yeah, he was here. He finally recovered from his debilitating golf injury. However that happens. Still don't believe that story. I miss you guys. What's up? We miss you too, Brian. Come on in. Bring your kid. We got a parents' lounge. Hang out in here.
Yeah, we do.
Speaking of which, though, we're actually commandeering the parents' lounge for our pandas class. So, guys, we got some really cool back to school promos right now. We start. To my knowledge, we're the only academy. Are we the only academy that does jiu-jitsu for 3-year-olds?
Pretty close.
Yeah, so
I don't know of anybody else. If they do, good for them.
So for those watching on here, Coach Muhammad
giving a tour to our gym. We're live.
You look like you're looking for a signal in the
Sure.
Coach Christian, please use that in a reel. Please use that in a reel. That literally looked like you belonged in Jurassic Park, looking for a signal to get you out of there.
I'm giving my peeps
Okay.
it's gi tonight, David. It's gi.
Oh, it's gi?
Yes, sir.
I told everyone it was no gi.
I'm sorry, no gi, no gi.
Okay. Yeah,
that's what I
it's
meant. No gi.
All right. Well, guys, that's it. So our back to school promos, check it out, metrojj.com. Ask about them. Ask about the podcast special for your 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old. If they're older than 12, they're going to be in our adult program. And as always, guys, we will see you on the mats.